I was washing dishes when my daughter Emma walked into my kitchen. She looked so happy in her pretty wedding dress. It had only been 3 days since her big day. Her new husband Jake sat next to her with a big smile on his face. Then he put a white envelope on my table. I didn't touch it. I just stared at it. "This will help us all work together better," Jake said with that same fake smile. "You know, money stuff, planning for the future." Emma nodded like she was agreeing with everything he said. "It's just papers, Mom. Jake is really smart with money. We want to make a special account for when we have babies. You understand, right?" My tummy felt sick. The envelope was thick and yellow. It had my name written on it. "Just look at it when you can," Jake said, getting up to put his plate away like nothing was wrong. "We're going on our honeymoon tomorrow, but this will save time later." I didn't say anything. I waited until they left to open it. When I did, my hands were shaking. Inside were papers that said I already agreed to put some of my money into a new account that Jake would control. He had no idea what he was trying to take. Nobody did. Not even Emma knew. When my husband died, I got $7 million. I never told anyone. Not Emma, not the lawyers, not even the bank, until I made a secret account with a different name. Thank God I stayed quiet, because now I knew what Jake really wanted. I had seen men like him before. They were mean people who pretended to be nice. Before I tell you more, I want to know where you're watching from. Please click the thumbs up button and follow my channel. It really helps more people hear stories like this. I wasn't just going to say no to Jake's papers. I was going to test him. In 3 days, I would set a trap he would never see coming. The trap: fake money transfer. When he tried to take what he thought was new money, I would be watching everything he did. But before I could start my plan, someone knocked on my door. It was 9 in the morning. When I opened it, it wasn't Jake. It was his lawyer. In his hand was another paper. This one said, "Emergency Extra Rules," and it had Emma's name signed on it. Seeing that lawyer at my door made me more scared than I wanted to be. He looked young, maybe in his 20s, dressed in fancy clothes, carrying a briefcase. He already had his hand out like we were just doing normal business. "Mrs. Johnson?" he asked. I nodded but didn't say anything. "My name is David Miller. I'm here for Jake and Emma about some important money papers." I didn't move from my doorway. "My daughter's name is Emma Johnson," I said in a flat voice. "She didn't change her name." He blinked but kept smiling. "Of course, sorry. Can I come in? This won't take long." I wasn't sure what to do. Part of me wanted to close the door, but I was curious. I needed to know how deep this problem went. So I let him in. He walked in like he owned my house. He put his briefcase on my dining table, the same table Emma used to do her homework on. "This paper," he said, opening his case and taking out shiny documents, "is what we call a safety measure. Jake and Emma have decided to put their money together. Of course, this includes any money from family that could help their account." I didn't sit down. I watched him from across the room with my arms crossed. He kept talking. "Emma signed this paper yesterday morning before they left for their honeymoon. Jake wants you to sign it before this week ends so everything is ready when they come back." I raised my eyebrow. "Before they get back?" "Yes, it's really just a formal way of saying the family agrees," he said. "Stop talking fancy," I said. "Show me the part about money." He paused, then turned the paper around and pointed. "Section 7.2, Parent Money Disclosure and Pre-Inheritance Trust Setup." In simple words, they wanted me to tell them if I had any big money or expected money so they could put it in their shared account. They wanted to know if I was hiding anything. I almost laughed. They wanted my $7 million. I looked at the signature above where mine should go. It was Emma's handwriting, but it looked rushed like she didn't even read it. The lawyer closed the folder gently. "This protects everyone, ma'am. You know how important planning is these days." "Did Emma actually read any of this?" "Yes." He gave a tight smile. "They're young. They trust each other." Wrong answer. I stepped forward and put my hands flat on the table. Tell Jake he'll have to wait. I don't sign things without my own lawyers looking at them first. A look of surprise crossed his face. I understand. When can they expect your answer? You'll get it when I decide to give it, I said. He nodded, picked up his things and left. He was polite but clearly annoyed. As soon as the door closed, I let out a big breath. So it had started. They were coming after me. Jake knew, or at least thought, that I had money. Emma must have said something, maybe not the whole truth, but just a hint like, Mom's been doing okay, or she's been quiet about money since Dad died. It wouldn't take much to make a man like Jake start looking. I didn't blame Emma. She was in love. She had always trusted people too much. After losing her father, she held on to Jake like he was saving her life. I watched it happen and felt helpless, knowing that no warning from me would reach her heart. But now it wasn't just about love. This was a game, and I wasn't going to let anyone win against me. I called my lawyer Mike that afternoon. Something's wrong, I told him. They're pushing papers too early. My daughter just got married, and now there's paperwork about money I haven't even given them yet. He listened carefully. You want me to look at the document? No, I said. I want you to make a fake one. A fake one? Mike asked. I want you to write a legal-looking paper that says I only got $240,000 from my husband when he died. Make a fake bank trail to a small account. Make it look real but not impressive. You want to make them think the money is already spent. Exactly. And I want to make sure someone like Jake can find it if he looks. Nothing obvious. Just easy enough for him to discover. Mike paused again. And the real money. In a secret trust already locked away. They'll never see it. He breathed out slowly. You always were smarter than everyone else, Sarah. I had to be, I said. Remember when my husband's brother tried to steal our money after the funeral? He laughed grimly. Hard to forget. By the end of the week, Mike had sent me everything. I left the fake papers on my desk carelessly, just in case someone had eyes in my house. Then I waited. 2 days passed. Nothing. Then 3 days. That's when I got a message from the bank. Someone had tried to get into one of my old accounts, one that had been empty for years. It was small, less than $5,000 in it, barely worth touching. But the person trying to get in had used my maiden name. Only 2 people in the world knew I ever had money in that account with that name. One was my husband who died. The other was Emma, which meant she had said something or Jake had guessed it. Either way, I now knew one thing for sure. They were digging. That night, I sat alone in my quiet study. I had the fake money papers in one hand and Jake's original papers in the other. I made my decision. No more waiting. No more testing. I was going to face Jake, but not with anger. With something he'd never expect, being thankful. The next morning I called Emma. Sweetheart, I said warmly. When are you 2 back from your honeymoon? She sounded surprised. Tomorrow. Why? Is everything okay? Of course, I said with a smile she couldn't see. Tell Jake I have the papers ready. I'd love to go over them with both of you at lunch. My treat. Oh, that's great, Mom. He'll be so happy. I knew you'd understand. I hung up and looked out the window. They thought they were about to win, but they didn't know they were about to sit down to a very different meal than they expected. When they arrived, I'd already called a notary, set up a hidden camera, and asked Mike to pretend to be a waiter. Let them bring their smiles and charm. I'd bring the $7 million in silence. And then the real papers would come out, the ones that showed exactly who owned what and who had tried to lie about it. But before I could put my plan into action, I got another message. This time from Emma. It was short, just 2 lines. Mom, we need to talk first. Please don't be mad. Jake said you were mean to him. My heart stopped. Jake was changing the story faster than I expected. Now Emma wasn't sure about me. Now I was the problem. He was making me look like the bad guy, and I hadn't even made my move yet. I read Emma's message 3 times. Jake said you were mean to him. We need to talk first. Please don't be mad. I sat there frozen, my phone in my hand, the screen glowing like it was daring me to reply. I didn't. Not yet. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a smart move. Jake was clever. He knew I was suspicious. He knew I had figured out his game, so he did what mean people do best. He made me look like the bad guy before I could tell the truth. By the time they walked into the trap I'd set, I wouldn't look like the smart mother who protected her money. I'd look like the angry, worried widow trying to control her daughter's new life. He'd made me look bad before I even opened my mouth. I had to be careful now. No fighting, no anger, just quiet planning. I picked up the phone and called Mike again. "They're twisting the story," I said as soon as he answered. "I figured they would," he replied calmly. "You still want to go through with lunch?" I nodded even though he couldn't see me. "Yes, but we're not going in as lawyers." He understood. "You want me there as backup, not as a threat." "Exactly. No briefcase, just sit and watch. Record everything." "I'll bring a pen and a receipt book," he said with a hint of humor. The next day came quickly. I booked a quiet table at the private garden restaurant Emma used to love when she was little. A place with rose bushes, fish ponds, and waiters who knew not to bother you. Quiet, pretty, expensive. The kind of place that made everyone feel more polite than they really were. They arrived right on time. Jake wore a light blue suit like he was about to make $1 million deal on TV. Emma wore a simple cream shirt, her hand nervously holding onto his arm. I could see the worry in her eyes before she even sat down. "Hi, Mom," she said gently. I stood up, kissed her cheek, and said hello to Jake with a smile I'd practiced for 20 years at fake charity events. "You look beautiful, Emma." She smiled a little, relaxing slightly. Then she saw Mike. "Oh, this is my friend Mike," I said quickly. "He's just joining for lunch. He works in insurance." Mike nodded politely. "Nice to meet you both. You picked a good day. The chef is making duck today." Jake seemed fine with it. He shook Mike's hand and then leaned back like he was in control again. We ordered salad for Emma, steak for Jake, soup for me. We talked about normal things until the food came. Travel, the wedding, the weather. Jake told some half-funny story about how their suitcases got lost, and a hotel worker let them use his personal boat. I nodded, smiled, and waited. Finally, Jake leaned forward, put his fork down, and looked sincere. "Sarah, I want to clear the air. I never meant to push you. I just thought we could build something smart together as a family. When Emma told me about your husband dying and that you'd been handling everything alone, I felt protective." I raised my eyebrow. "Protective of me? Of Emma, of her future, and by extension your well-being too." I nodded slowly. "That's very kind of you." Emma looked between us, unsure. Jake reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the same folder I'd seen before. "I brought the paperwork again just in case you had time to think." He placed it gently on the table like it was a gift. I took it and flipped through it slowly. Then I reached into my purse and pulled out my own document. Not the real one, but the fake one Mike had prepared. I placed it on top of his, folded neatly. "This is my money disclosure," I said. $240,000 left after paying debts and legal fees. It's all I have left. Jake's eyes looked at the document. He didn't touch it, but I saw him start thinking. That amount was too small to build a trust around, too small to be worth tricking me for, too small to be worth the risk he'd already taken. He smiled politely, but I saw the storm building in his eyes. Emma leaned forward. "Wait, what? That's all that's left?" I looked her in the eye. "Your father had more debt than I told you. I didn't want to worry you after the funeral." Her face fell. "But you seemed okay." "I managed," I said softly. "I sold the lake house. Cut back on spending. I just didn't want you to worry." She swallowed hard. "Oh." Jake reached for his drink. His smile was still there, but thinner now, strained. "I see," he said simply. Mike watched silently, his hand resting on his pen. The tension at the table was growing like a storm cloud. I added the final detail. "After this lunch," I said gently, "I'll be closing that account and putting it into a small retirement fund. Nothing fancy, but it'll last me. Jake blinked. Then he stood up. I need the bathroom, he said with a short laugh. Too much coffee this morning. He walked away, leaving his folder on the table. As soon as he was gone, Emma leaned in. Mom, did you really threaten him? I looked her straight in the eye. No, but I did say I wouldn't sign anything without legal review, and that must have scared him. She looked away. He said you called him a liar. I said nothing because I had silently in my mind. She wasn't ready to hear the full truth. Not yet. When Jake came back, he was calm again. Come. He sat down, picked up his folder, and put it back in his pocket. You know what, he said. You're right, Sarah. I rush things. We're a new family. We should build trust the old-fashioned way. I smiled with tight lips. That sounds nice. Lunch ended with polite smiles and awkward hugs, but as I watched them walk away, something bothered me. Jake wasn't the type to walk away empty-handed, and I knew I hadn't one yet. 2 nights later it happened. I woke up to a call from my banker. There was a request to take out $240,000, she said. Started through your old online account. We flagged it as suspicious because the computer was unfamiliar. Froze. What computer? Someone using Emma's tablet logged in from the hotel they stayed at after the wedding. I didn't need to guess who it was. He had seen the fake money papers. He believed them. And now he had tried to take all of it. The only problem was that account was empty. It was fake. But what scared me more was that he had access to Emma's devices, which meant she'd given him passwords and full access, and possibly opened the doors to much more without knowing it. I hung up and called Emma. She didn't answer. I tried again. No answer. Then a text. Hey Mom. We're resting. Can we talk tomorrow? Resting. But I didn't sleep that night because I wasn't just dealing with a gold digger. I was dealing with a thief. And the worst part, he was sleeping next to my daughter. Barely slept. The house felt colder than usual, even though the temperature was the same. I walked from room to room like a ghost, locking windows, checking drawers, peeking through curtains as if Jake might suddenly appear on the porch with another fake smile and another friendly contract. But he wouldn't come out in the open anymore. No, he was already inside our lives, inside Emma's heart. And the worst part, she had no idea. By 6 a.m. I was sitting in my chair, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the blank TV screen. I hadn't turned it on all night. The quiet helped me think and plan. When the sun finally came up over the trees, I stood up, made coffee and called Mike. He answered right away. He tried to take the fake money, I said quietly. From Emma's tablet. Mike didn't sound surprised. He's bolder than I thought. Or dumber. Maybe both. I rubbed my forehead. I need proof it wasn't me logging in. Can you help? Already working on it, he said. We'll get the computer address, the device details, even the timestamp. But Sarah, we might be running out of time. I know, I said and hung up. I stared into my coffee. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about control and saving my daughter from a man who'd use her, drain her, then walk away with whatever he could carry. Later that morning I sent Emma a message. Come to the house alone. No Jake, just us. She replied quickly. Why? What's going on? Just come. I made that lemon cake you love. She agreed. By 2 p.m. I heard her car in the driveway. I peeked through the window. She was alone. She walked in slowly, carefully. Her eyes looked around the room like she expected cameras or a fight. Hugged her. She didn't hug back right away. We sat at the kitchen table. The same one where I used to braid her hair before school. I need to talk to you, I said, giving her a slice of cake. Really talk. She looked down at it. Okay. I didn't hold back. I know Jake tried to get into an account that wasn't his. He used your tablet. He set off a warning alert. Her face went white. What? No, he wouldn't. He did. He guessed there was money. I left a fake document to see what he'd do. Emma's eyes filled with tears. You set him up. I leaned forward. I protected you. I didn't want to believe it either, but I had to know who he really is. She shook her head, standing up suddenly. This is crazy. You're spying on us, tricking me. I'm trying to stop you from being robbed. He loves me, she said. I stood up too. Then ask him why he went into your tablet. Ask him what he was trying to take. I don't. He wouldn't. He said you were paranoid, that you hated him. Because I saw him for what he is. She grabbed her purse, tears falling now. I can't do this, she said. I need space. Emma, please. But she was already out the door. She drove away fast. I stood there heartbroken, watching the dust settle on the road. I had just pushed her away. And Jake, he'd win if I lost her. I went back inside and sat down, my chest tight. I hadn't cried in years, but now the tears came fast. Mike called just then. I got the proof, he said. Confirmed. It was Jake. I can put it in a report. Good, I whispered. It won't matter if Emma hates me. She won't, he said. She left. He was quiet for a moment. Then, Sarah, what if we go further? Sniff. Further how? We expose him publicly. You still have those wedding videos, right? The party speeches. Yes. Let me look at them. Maybe he slipped up. Maybe he bragged. Mike, no. Listen, he's too proud. He talks too much. If he hinted about money in front of anyone, we can make it count. He nodded. Okay, I'll send everything. That night I watched the videos again. Not just from the professional camera person, but from guests' phone videos, live streams, even shaky phone footage Emma had sent me. And then I found it. Jake, standing with a drink in his hand, surrounded by friends. The camera was far away, but the sound was clear enough. He was laughing, proud, confident. One of his friends asked, "So what's next, man? Did you marry rich?" He replied loud and proud, "Not yet, but give me a month. You'll see." His friends laughed. He lifted his drink like he just made a deal. Paused the video, heart pounding. There it was. Pride caught on camera. I sent it to Mike. He replied instantly. Got it. This is gold. Let me prepare something. The next morning I had a new plan. Called Emma again. No answer. I tried again later. Still nothing. Then I got a message. Jake and I need time. Please respect our space. That was it. No mom. No warmth, just space. But I didn't have time to wait anymore. So I went to her. I drove to their apartment, a fancy building with security gates and rooftop views. When I buzzed their unit, Jake answered. Sarah, he said flatly. I need to speak with Emma. She's sleeping. It's 10 a.m. She's tired. I'll wait. She doesn't want to see you. I didn't move. You can't keep her from me. I'm not, he said. She just doesn't want drama. I breathed out through my nose. Fine. Then I turned and walked away, but not before slipping the USB stick I brought, containing the wedding video clip, into their mailbox. Let him try to explain that. I didn't hear from Emma for 2 days. Then finally, she showed up at my house alone, eyes red from crying, hands shaking. She walked inside without saying a word and sat down. I watched the video, she whispered. I sat beside her. She didn't look at me. I asked him about it, she said. He said it was just a joke, that guys say dumb stuff. I stayed quiet. But I checked his computer history, she said, voice breaking. He looked up how to get into trust funds, how to bypass account passwords. I reached for her hand. She let me hold it. I'm so sorry, she cried. And I finally let myself cry too. But just as we held each other, her phone buzzed on the table. She wiped her eyes, looked at it, then stared at me. It's Jake, she said. Her voice went flat. He says he got a lawyer. I stiffened. What? He says if I try to leave, he'll sue me for lying, that he has a marriage contract, that he'll expose me for using his money for the wedding. But you didn't, I said. She shook her head. No, but my name is on everything. I leaned back in my chair. So this was his next move. If he couldn't steal from me, he'd bleed Emma dry. He was going to destroy her to get even. And if we didn't act fast, he might succeed. I stood in front of my daughter, my heart breaking for the second time in 2 weeks. She was pale, shaking, completely stripped of the joy she'd had just days earlier. The honeymoon smile was gone. The sparkle in her eyes had faded. And the worst part was knowing she hadn't just lost a marriage. She was starting to lose faith in herself. Jake had done what men like him always do. Charmed his way in, tried to control everything, and now that the mask was off, he was threatening to burn her life to the ground. Not on my watch. I took Emma's phone from the table and looked through the message Jake had sent. Don't even think about trying anything. You signed the agreement. I'll take this to court and I'll win. Below that were screenshots of documents she didn't even remember signing. Bank transfers in both their names. A receipt for a wedding ring bought using Emma's joint account with him. He was preparing for this the whole time, I whispered. Emma nodded, crying quietly. I feel so stupid. You're not stupid, I told her. You were in love. He just wasn't. Called Mike. He picked up on the first ring. She's here. He's threatening legal action. Good, Mike said. Then it's time we play our card. He had been waiting for this moment. Mike had already prepared a counterattack. A full report with computer forensics, device fingerprints, computer logs, and the video of Jake bragging about his plans, all packaged in a way that would crush him if this ever went to court. You want me to send this to his lawyer? Mike asked. No, I said. Not yet. Then what? I want to meet him face to face with Emma. Mike paused. Sarah. I need him to see what we know. I need him to look me in the eyes and realize the game is over. He agreed. We set the meeting for the next afternoon. I chose a public place. A lawyer's office downtown with glass walls and cameras. Mike would be there, quiet in the corner. Me too. I told her she didn't have to come, but she insisted. I need to see his face when he realizes I'm done. We arrived early. Jake showed up 10 minutes late, acting like he was important. He was wearing a black sweater and sunglasses like he thought he was some kind of celebrity. He smiled when he saw us, but it didn't last. Mike handed him a folder. This is a courtesy copy of our findings. Jake flipped through the first few pages and I saw it, the change. His face twitched. His lips opened slightly. His body stiffened. He knew he was caught. There's no crime here, he said quickly. You can't prove anything. You're right, Mike said. There's no crime yet, but what we have is enough to start several investigations. Identity misuse, financial tricks, fake contract pressure. Jake laughed. Your voice is on video, I said quietly. You said, and I quote, "Give me a month, you'll see." And you tried to move money from my daughter's account without her permission. He looked at Emma, his eyes getting narrow. You told them. She didn't flinch. No, she said. You did. He slammed the folder shut. What do you want? He snapped. I leaned forward. You're going to disappear. He raised his eyebrow. You're going to walk away, I continued. Sign papers to end the marriage. Release Emma from any shared accounts, properties, and legal claims. No court, no battle. He laughed bitterly. Or what? Mike pulled out a second folder. Or this goes public, and the local newspaper gets a story about a man who married for money and got caught. We already have a reporter waiting, I added. One email and it's done. Jake looked at all three of us. He was trapped and he knew it. You think you can just push me out? He hissed. No, I said. You pushed yourself out. We're just making it official. He stared at Emma like he still expected her to give in. He didn't. She slid a pen across the table. He picked it up slowly and signed every single page. When it was done, he stood up, fixed his sunglasses, and walked out without another word. Just like that, gone. Emma broke down the moment the door clicked shut. I wrapped my arms around her, rocking gently like I used to when she was small. It's over, I whispered. You're safe now. But she pulled back, tears still in her eyes. No, Mum. It's not over until I fix what I broke with you. Blink. You didn't break anything. Yes, I did. I didn't listen. Doubted you. I let him twist the truth. I smiled gently. You believed in love. That's not wrong. That's being human. We left the office together. The sun was setting, making long shadows on the sidewalk. That evening we made dinner at home. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti and garlic bread. But it felt warm again, peaceful. Over the table, she asked me one last question. Is it true, she said. About the money. Paused, then nodded. Yes, I did inherit 7 million. Her eyes got wide. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to protect you from him, from greed, from what money does to people. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. From now on, she said, no more secrets. I nodded and we ate. Finally, not as a broken family, not as a mother trying to save her daughter, but as two women who had made it through the storm together. Sometimes the best way to protect the people you love is to keep quiet about what you have. And sometimes that silence can save everything that matters.